Welcome back to another video, everybody. Tom Lee is back outlining a very bullish thesis going into the rest of this year here, while also highlighting some individual stocks that all investors need to pay attention to. We're going to be covering everything that you guys need to know in this video here, breaking down a lot of Tom Lee's statements, going into these individual names, and also touching on some of your guys' favorite stocks as well here. So before we get into all of that information, guys, if you guys do enjoy the information and analysis that I provide for you guys in these videos here, make sure you go down and hit that like button. Costs you nothing to do it, but it helps me out a whole lot in spreading this information out to as many people who actually want to learn. And again, if you're not subscribed yet, make sure you guys are, and turn on notifications so you're notified every time these videos do end up getting posted live. And also, reminder for those of you guys that are taking advantage of all of these volatile moves in markets here, again, those of you guys that are trading futures, make sure you guys are taking advantage of the ability to use these prop firms to increase the funding that you have. One of the main problems with day traders is that they are significantly undercapitalized. Guys, Apex Trader Funding is doing an absolutely insane 80% off sale. If you guys want to take advantage of that, use code VIX down below. Get up to $6 million in funding across 20 different accounts there. That sale ends tomorrow, so if you're interested, make sure you check that out. But without further ado, let's get into this Tom Lee clip and get right into it.
No, I don't know if there's much signal in the downgrade Friday, because I think the first AAA downgrade was signal from 2011. I don't think Moody's had any information that we didn't have on Friday afternoon, so I think markets should realize the bond market largely priced in the fact that the U.S. is really not AAA anymore. So I'd be viewing this as a buying opportunity.
That said, you're not discounting the notion that the vigilantes have been reawakened a bit?
You know, I think everyone should be aware the U.S. has an unsustainable path for debt, but I think the real signal will be when an auction fails. That happened a few years ago, and then we realized that was the time to really pay attention to the fact that we have debt sustainability issues. But I think a downgrade itself, I don't think it makes this much signal.
So we reclaim the 200-day. Is that a clear path to a new high, as some of the trading desks suggested this morning?
Yeah, in fact, I think today will be an interesting test. I'm assuming today's pullback's going to be really shallow, might even close positive, because most investors rage sold at the bottom in April, and then they doubted.
I hadn't heard that.
Yeah,
that's a good one. Is that your own, or have you heard that other place?
I've heard that. Yeah,
rage sold.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
And so as the markets climb, a lot of people sort of doubted, thought it was a rally that would fail, and so I think there's $7 trillion cash on the sidelines, enormous skepticism from our institutional clients, and a lot of folks sort of bet outside the U.S. So I think there's going to be a lot of chasing into year end.
Although, a lot of shorts have been covered already, though. A lot of the hedge fund guys who actually got it wrong and rage sold, to your point, are in a very different position right now in terms of positioning.
Yes. No, and there's a difference between being short and versus having positive beta to risk assets. So I think most people might be flat on their books. But if the market is above its 200-day, showing this sort of impulsive buying, and you're flat, that means you're underinvested.
So in this environment, the ever bullish Tom Lee, what are you looking at when it comes specifically to the Magnificent Seven? We watch those so carefully, but the NASDAQ, of course, under pressure here today.
We think the Mag 7 is going to lead into year end, because it's a group that fell first. It was widely owned, but it really got washed out. I think Tesla was a really good sort of case study. So I think the Mag 7 is going to reclaim its old highs. That's, of course, why the S&P should regain its old highs and of course, actually move above that before year end.
Now, as you guys heard in that clip, Tom Lee released a lot of information there, and that was a really solid conversation on CNBC. One of the main things that was interesting was this question about bond vigilantes. So when you see a lot of reckless fiscal spending, or basically government spending, you could have these large bond participants in the bond market coming out and aggressively selling bonds. Remember, the bond prices and bond interest rates are inversely correlated. So when you see bond prices moving up, yields are moving down. But when that additional selling comes in, well, that's going to increase yields and spook the market a little bit more, and kind of be a flashing signal to the kind of current administration or current government that is in place, that they really need to rein in a lot of their spending, because again, if they continue to go into more and more debt, well, the interest payments on that debt are going to be higher. And when we take a look at the bond market, yes, we do see the 10-year treasury yield right around that 4.5% here, and we did see a significant move to the upside earlier on today, but a lot of investors were stepping up to buy these bonds, mainly because, again, as Tom Lee kind of said in that clip there, back in 2011 was that big signal with that downgrade that we saw from the US going from AAA to a level lower than that in terms of their credit rating, and seeing Moody's on Friday kind of come in and just kind of join the party here with all of these other rating agencies really isn't all that big of a deal, because if you guys were paying attention to one of the prior videos, I believe it was on Saturday on this channel here, again, for some of the same exact reasons why the market was moving up so significantly off of these lows recently is also the same reasons why Moody's had to come out and downgrade. Coming into this year, we had a lot of investors and market participants and economists expecting government spending to significantly drop, again, through Doge, and then potentially some of these revenues to start moving up as well as a result of these tariffs. Now, recently, what have we seen? Well, obviously, the defense budget is looking like it's going to go higher. We have this new potential tax bill that is being debated and kind of going back and forth in the government right now. And all of this is going to continuously add to the national debt. So again, Moody's is going to view that as negative, but the market, again, likes a lot of this spending that the government does, because remember, about 25 to 30% of GDP every single year directly comes from government spending. So now that the market is starting to shake this off, if we look at the S&P 500 futures here, ES, again, we did open, we sold off pretty aggressively down to these lower levels, but the buyers ended up coming up and taking this the overall market higher here in a very solid sign of strength. Now, thinking about some of these Tom Lee picks here, again, Mag 7, Tesla, Nvidia, all of these other large tech names, Tesla has an incredibly bullish setup forming here on this daily time frame, especially if we are able to let this daily 10 exponential moving average here in blue catch up to current price. We continue consolidating and we start to break to the upside. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, we just saw the exact same thing down in here, and yes, this was a call out that I did make to the private trading and investing community. Less trades, more profits. Congratulations to everybody that rode this move up here. Those were some very, very awesome gains. Now, another name that Tom Lee talks about a lot and is in the Granny Shots ETF is Palantir, and you're seeing something very similar occur to Palantir here as well. Now, in my opinion, and I've talked about this a lot, Palantir fundamentally is a very, very strong company. You are seeing their revenues, commercial, government, global, all growing at very significant rates. The problem is that the overall valuation that the market has for it right now is, in my opinion, a bit stretched. But seeing things like this come out time and time again for Palantir, again, the U.S. Space Force Space Systems Command are advancing their Space C2 data platform to provide enterprise data storage and data management solutions, including seamless, synchronized, multi-domain warfighting to space and air operational communities through the award of $217.8 million delivery order under the data software services. Again, they have selected Palantir for this program, another government contract that Palantir has received, which will further boost their revenues. Now, kind of back on the chart here, something I've said before with Palantir too is, even though this may not be a name that I want to buy right now, this is definitely not one that I would want to go out and short in the market, just because I think it is a little bit overvalued. Very similar to what we're looking at for Tesla here. We have a nice push to the upside, very nice period of consolidation so far. The daily 10 exponential moving average is catching up. If we continue to consolidate in this range here, we easily could see a break to the upside above this 133, 134 area that could easily bring us to the 140s or 150s in a very, very short period of time. Now, I have two more tickers that I want to discuss that Tom Lee is very interested in going into the next couple of quarters here, and then we're going to get into SoFi and AMD. Again, other names that you guys really love to hear about and again are invested in. Again, AMD is one that I own at $11.39. absolutely awesome investment for me. And they did receive some interesting news today as well, but you guys are about to see a very interesting theme here. You can see Robinhood over here, very, very bullish looking chart, significant push to the upside, very nice period of consolidation, 10 exponential moving average is starting to catch up here. If we break to the upside, you easily could go for those recent highs around 67 and beyond. I think you guys can kind of get the point now. Again, that's why everybody in the Less Trades More Profits community right now is very, very excited for the weeks to come, especially after the market really shook off this move to the downside that we saw in kind of Sunday night once futures opened here. It's going to be a very fun week. Again, you guys know the deal at this point. If you guys want to hop in with us, check out those links down below. And then also, we do have Nvidia coming up as well. And again, Nvidia, again, very similar look to this chart as well, but it does have earnings coming up next Wednesday here. Now, Nvidia typically will consolidate right before these big events here. We've seen this time and time again, unless something crazy is happening with the markets. Again, you saw a lot of these tariff fears coming in here, but you look previously, Nvidia loves to chop around in ranges right before its earnings are released. And I would expect that to happen again, especially as we head into the long weekend this weekend without a whole lot of data coming in this week. Again, one of the main things that the market has been looking for is a lot of the other Mag 7 companies and what they are actually going to be doing with their CapEx spend moving forward. Now, what we've seen time and time again is that these CapEx spending levels are either going to stay at the same rates or even increase over the next couple of years and quarters here as the world starts to get ready for these unbelievably important developments in AI. Now, speaking about AI and these chip makers, let's talk a little bit about AMD here because they had some interesting news coming out today that I do want to discuss with everybody. And when we take a look at the chart of AMD here, remember, all we did recently was have a nice significant move to the upside, nice shift of trend, came up, kind of touched this 200 exponential moving average here, and is now starting to pull back to some of these recent highs that we saw at the end of February and kind of towards the end of March here. But when we take a look at what this news was on AMD today, AMD to sell ZT Systems server manufacturing business to Sanmina in a $3 billion deal. Now, for those of you guys that follow AMD closely here, you might be thinking to yourself, didn't AMD just buy this company here? And you would be correct. AMD closes $4.9 billion ZT Systems deal targeting its piece of the AI factory here. So when you think about what has actually happened with AMD and this ZT Systems acquisition, really over the last couple of months here, they acquired a company for around $5 billion and then sold the manufacturing side of that company for about $3 billion here. So they are into this investment for about $2 billion, really for a lot of these engineers and the technology that comes with this company and the expertise that they bring. But again, when you think about kind of what AMD is doing right now, they did just get $3 billion back, and they are looking to do a $10 billion share buyback in the near future. So it is possible that this is looking like it is killing two birds with one stone here, where they're able to kind of offload this manufacturing business that they don't really want to be involved in, while also getting some of that capital back to go and buy their shares back in the open market for a discount, which they think can actually have a better return on investment than actually leaving that capital placed in the manufacturing element of ZT Systems business. So the market today is a little bit confused here, doesn't necessarily know how to take this information, with AMD being down about 2.5%, but overall I would say that this is a positive development, especially when you think of that glass half full perspective, where they could be, again, using this money, this $3 billion that they place in ZT Systems, to place it and buy back their own shares, potentially getting a greater return on investment than leaving that capital tied up in the manufacturing side of ZT Systems business there. Now, the last thing that I want to talk about with you guys here in this video today is going to be SoFi. So SoFi, again, just kind of chopping around after its earnings here. Nice periods of consolidation. You're not seeing really anything crazy here, down about 1%. But what is interesting is that, as you can see here, in the last quarter, JP Morgan increased their share position by 476%, as you guys can see right here in SoFi. Again, when you think about how the market views SoFi here, which is probably not the correct way to view it. It views it more so like a bank than one of these financial technology platforms with all of these different elements of their business. They're adding crypto back. They offer the ability to trade, investments, HELOCs. There are so many different things that SoFi does offer, and seeing JP Morgan significantly increasing their position in SoFi here, it kind of reminds me of that old phrase, well, if you can't beat them, join them. If SoFi is going to be faster to the market or able to innovate in some of these different ways that maybe JP Morgan just can't or doesn't want to at the current time, well, then they're going to be able to witness some of those gains in the same marketplace by investing in that company. So guys, that is going to wrap up this video here. If you did enjoy the information and analysis I provided for you guys in this one, make sure you go down and hit that like button. It costs you nothing to do it, but it helps me out a whole lot in spreading this information out to as many people who actually want to learn. And if you never want to miss another video like this, make sure you're subscribed, turn on notifications so you're notified every time these videos do end up getting posted live. But until next time, guys, I will see you. Peace.